Hello and welcome to Stuttercast, a podcast where we discuss everything cinema. I am Anant
And I'm Suyash.
and we are your hosts. Alright, so before starting with the actual podcast, let me just tell you why we decided to start the podcast. So, as we all know, that we are just sitting at home, quarantined due to the corona outbreak, and we both got really bored, and both of us we love films, so we decided to share our conversation with you guys.
We hope to keep you guys entertained through this podcast. So, hear it, enjoy it.
Okay, so the first
Okay, so
film we are going to discuss will be an Indian film. So Suyash, why don't you introduce the film to us?
so the first film which we are going to discuss is Kumbalangi Nights. It's a Indian
Yes.
Malayalam language family drama by Madhu C. Narayanan. It's his directorial debut, by the way, and it's an absolutely beautiful movie. It's about four brothers who sort of have a love-hate relationship, who mostly do not get along, and how a few series of events force them to keep their animosity aside and support each other.
So you suggested the film, so why don't you tell me what you thought about it?
Okay, first of all, the regional cinemas in India is very, like, it's underrated.
Yes, it is.
People just go
It
for
definitely
Bollywood
is.
movies, Hindi language
Yes,
movies,
yes, yes.
and I think people should start watching the regional language also. And Malayalam language movies are like quite great, which are worth like putting your 2 hours, 2 hours 30 minutes into it. So first of all, Kumbalangi Nights. Why? Like I explained the plot, it's about the four brothers who are living in a small cramped house in a wasteland area of Kumbalangi.
Yeah.
And why I think this cinema is masterpiece? Damn, there are many other things. First of all, I'll just talk about the visuals, the cinematography of the film. The DOP is Shaiju Khalid, and the visuals, man, it was so great. I had to watch the movie 3 or 4 times, especially for some scenes specifically. If you have seen the starting of the movie, there's a song called as Chera Tukal. So when the song starts and they show the surroundings of the village,
Hmm.
and though the shots which are known as the inserts were shown in it.
Yes.
Why I like them was the DOP. He's from Ernakulam itself, and he knew which places are like absolutely beautiful to portray to the world.
Who is the cinematographer again?
Shaiju Khalid. Shaiju
Shai
Khalid is like
Khalil, right?
one of the best cinematographers in the Malayali film industry. He has worked on 22 Female Kottayam, Iduki Gold, then Sudani from Nigeria, and Kumbalangi Nights. Like, absolutely, I fell in love with the cinematography in it. What do you think about the cinematography?
Yeah. So I'll start about the film itself. I think it's a really, really good film.
Yeah.
I was actually very
Yeah.
surprised because I didn't know anything about the film going into it. Speaking about cinematography, which is one of its strongest suits, actually, especially the shots which were shot when the characters are on a boat or when they are walking in the river. I think the visual style is fantastic, like the use of neon colored lights. So I think the
Yeah.
cinematography was really good. Talking about the screenplay, I think the screenplay was really compelling and the execution as well. The screenplay writer is Sham Pushkar, I think his name is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, it's yeah, yeah.
Shyam Pushkaran.
The script was really good, and
Yeah.
even the dialogues were really good.
Oh, I mean, I absolutely love the dialogues.
Yeah.
About the screenplay, Shyam Pushkaran, he was also the script writer for 22 Female Kottayam, which the Shaiju Khalid was also the
Cinematography. Oh,
cinematographer for that film. The way he has portrayed everything, I mean, the screenplay was good. It was realistic, first of all.
and the way the characters were written as well, especially the character of Saji, who is the eldest brother
Yeah,
in the
Saj.
family. and even the character of Bobby, who is one of the younger siblings, and Shami as well, the antagonist of
Damn.
the film. Even his even his character
Shami,
is very
man.
weird.
So
Shami is, yeah.
Shami, the actor who played Shami is Fahad Fazil. He's
Oh my.
also the producer for the film.
Oh, I did not know that.
Fahad Fazil, he's one of the best actors in Malayali film industry and also the Tamil film. He's also acted in them.
Okay,
He
that's
has national film awards also.
yeah. We'll talk about the acting later. Um, Also the
Yeah.
music. I was very surprised and
Okay.
was so glad that finally I heard a good soundtrack. I'm not talking about the songs. I'm talking about the soundtrack for the film. After quite some time, I've heard an Indian film with such a great soundtrack, and even the way it has been used. I think it is really well done.
Okay. So regarding the musical score,
Hmm.
Sushin Shyam,
Is
he
the
has
yeah yeah
composed the
yeah yeah
music.
yeah.
Yeah. So I have to like point out a few things. The music has really elevated the whole movie.
It has
If you remember, in one of the scenes when Saji brings his friends, uh, the friend who died the other, before, and he brings his wife home after,
yeah yeah.
yeah, after she gives birth. Yeah,
Hmm.
okay. So the song, which was like, the song when he brings on the boat and all others are present in front of the house.
Hmm. Yes.
So I have to like point it out because the lyrics of that particular scene.
Hmm.
Okay, so it refers to as how Joseph took care of Mary and Jesus.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, that's pretty cool.
since the characters are shown as a Christian,
Hmm.
so so it refers to as how Joseph took care of Mary and baby Jesus.
Oh, that is pretty interesting.
So the translation of the lyrics was, "Son, I am around as a invisible gaze. Son, far yet, I am there as your guardian angel."
Oh yeah, yeah. I remember reading that.
Yeah, I mean, they have portrayed even small things very like to the point.
Brilliantly, yes, that is true. My favorite scene from the film was when Saji goes to the counselor and he's talking
Yeah,
about how he's not able to cry. Uh, his best friend has died. Their family is literally falling apart.
yeah.
And in the same scene, you see Bobby talking to his girlfriend, and they have intercut between the two scenes. I think that is some masterful filmmaking, in my opinion. That scene stayed with me for quite some time. Yeah, yeah.
Even in the sea, okay, so the character of Saji, it is
Hmm.
shown that he has anger issues and he often gets into fight with
Fights
Bobby.
Bobby. Yeah,
And in that scene when he like goes to the counselor and he cries
he cries a lot.
after the
He
whole thing.
literally soaks the
Yeah,
counselor's
he
shirt
cries a
wet.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, after the whole thing, like he just puts his hand around Frankie.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, like
That
he's
particular
now
scene, it
okay.
it shows the change in character, and I think that
Yeah,
that has
the
been done
change
really
in
well.
the like relationship of the character.
Hmm. That's true. And
Yeah.
let's talk about the okay. Let's talk about Saji first. I think he was really good. I don't know who played him. I think yeah, it was
Mm,
Sobin Shahir. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing it
Shobin
it
Shahir,
wrong.
yeah.
It was really good. But the standout for me was definitely Fahad Fazil as Shami. I mean, that guy is, oh my god, like his eyes, the way he uses his eyes to portray his character is, oh my god, it's scary, it's creepy, and that's what his character is. It's really fucking creepy. Yeah. So you were saying something?
Yeah, okay. So Sobin, I have seen his other works. He's
Okay.
really great with others also, even in Sudani from Nigeria.
Oh, he's in
He
that
acted quite.
also. Oh.
Yeah. So I mean, I have seen his works. He's really good.
Uh, was there anything that you didn't like or you thought they could have done a little better?
No, actually, I love the film.
Hmm.
But I think this film was quite good for Malayali film industry.
Yeah. For me, I thought that the film was tonally a little inconsistent. Like it starts off as sort of like a family comedy almost. I don't mind the tonal shifts at all, but I think they could have been done a little more smoothly, I would say. It didn't ruin the experience for me, but that's just one thing I wish that it was a
Hmm.
little. And towards the end, and this is a spoiler alert, by the way, so if you don't want the film to be ruined, just don't listen to this part. Like towards the end, when they find out that Shami is actually like he's literally a crazy person. I thought
Yeah.
that the last 10-15 minutes when they all fight, I thought that that was that reminded me a bit of Parasite. It happened out of nowhere, but I think where the difference lies is in this, there was no preceding setup for it. Yes, we knew that Shami is a little
Yeah.
weird and creepy, but but again it didn't ruin the experience for me, but it sort of felt like they could have done a little more smoothly. But I think the reason it didn't ruin the experience for me is because of Fahad Fazil. He's so in control of the character that it felt really
He is really amazing.
yes, it didn't feel like absurd, but it felt a little abrupt. So that is one thing which I sort of thought that they could have done better. But apart from that, I think the film is really well made with some really good cinematography, some really good music, a well written script as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen a quite a few people say that the tonal shifts of the film were like they which they didn't expect it.
Hmm.
Okay, I'll not disagree with you,
Hmm.
but what I think was the shift in the genres of the film. It
Hmm.
started off as a family drama, a little humor here and there,
Yeah.
and at the end, I mean, it got thriller.
Yeah. It was
Family drama to
sort of scary too. It was sort of scary
yeah,
too.
yeah. Also, in the movie, how they have okay, the shifts of the genre,
Hmm.
from family drama and to a take on patriarchy and like
Yeah.
toxic masculinity with the
Hmm.
perfect man
Yeah. Yeah.
who is trying to dominate the family. Yeah, and he has his own agenda behind it.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I love that part of the film.
Yeah, so do
I
you have anything else to say about the film?
uh, there was like some specific scenes for the cinematography yeah, coupled with the musical score, I love them quite a
Yeah,
lot.
like it is really,
So
really good.
I mean, you have to uh, acknowledge it that being the local guy, the guy like he's from Ernakulam itself.
Yeah, yeah,
He he knew which places to
and
shoot.
he
He knew
captured
what
it
time
so
to
well.
shoot.
Yeah,
Any specific scenes other you want to add?
I just thought that the scene when they intercut between Saji and Bobby talking to counselor and the girlfriend, respectively, I think that scene was
Yeah,
really good, and that scene stayed with me for quite some time. And it's
yeah.
very rare for an Indian film to do that. So I think that particular scene takes the cake for me. It's a really
You
well
have to
made film.
acknowledge. Yeah, you have to acknowledge the regional film industry in India.
Yes, you have to. I mean, there's
People,
some
okay,
great
people who
films
will
coming
be
in out
hearing
of.
this podcast, there are. quite great films in the regional film industry. It's
Yeah.
not just Hindi film industry which you have to like support. We'll share in the upcoming episodes. We'll share about them also. But now, go and watch Kumbalangi Nights. It's on Amazon Prime,
Yes.
and let us know in our comments. How do you feel about the movie? Are there any other things which you liked? Anything else? And that's it.
Yeah,
We'll end our
and yeah,
discussion
and
for.
one more thing. How much do you rate this film? I don't generally believe in rating a particular film, but
Okay,
just for the sake of it,
I'll go for 4.8 or 4.9 out of 5.
I'll go for a solid 8 on 10. So yeah, so
Yeah,
that
that's
was
good.
Kumbalangi Nights, and so
Yeah.
yeah, please check the film out. It's a really well-made film, and yeah,
Yeah, it's
so
it's on Amazon
yeah,
Prime. Go watch
it's in
it.
Prime. Okay, so the next film that we're going to talk about is a French film. It's a French animated film, to be precise. It's a film called I Lost My Body. It's directed by Jeremy Clapin, and it is based on a book called Happy Hand by Guillaume Laura. I'm sorry if I'm ruining the name, but yeah. So it's based on a book, and it's a French animated film made for Netflix. Yes, it's story about a young man who falls in love with this girl, and at the same time, the story intercuts between a severed hand which escapes from a dimension and which is determined to find its body. So it's a very bizarre plot line. Yeah. So, what did you think of the film?
I haven't heard of it until the day you sent me like watch this, send me the message, watch this film, it's a good one.
Yeah. Mhm.
Then I did a little research about what the film is. Then I went, I saw the film, and to be honest, it was something I didn't expect at first. I thought,
Yeah.
okay, it's an animated drama, like
Yeah.
fantasy one,
Mhm.
but it was so beautiful, and the way the story is told via flashbacks.
Mhm.
Yeah, I love that part of it,
Yeah.
and like there are two parallel narratives of it,
Mhm.
and the story just goes on from one end to another, and it goes back again, and okay, you have to like connect with it, you have to be with it, you cannot lose your attention. I mean, I
I-
love the film for it, and this and this it was something, the screenplay was something which I didn't expect at all.
Okay.
So what do you think about the film?
I think it's a masterpiece. I really loved it. It's one of the best films from last year. It was released in 2019, by the way. And for me,
Yeah.
it's a brilliant watch. I think the premise is unique. It's something which you've never seen, and to add on that, the screenplay is non-linear. So it goes into flashbacks. There is the intercutting between the severed hand and the main guy, which is not generally seen in animated films. I think the only filmmaker which I can think of who used to do such storytelling in the animation industry was Satoshi Kon, who
Yeah,
was
yeah,
a
yeah.
brilliant filmmaker
Yeah.
from Japan. So I don't think
Yeah.
apart from him, I've seen any animated filmmaker tell a story in a non-linear way. So it was really refreshing to see it. And I think the best part of the film was the music. The music is absolutely fantastic. The music is by Dan Levy. It is absolutely brilliant. I still listen to it on Spotify. It is that good. So overall the film is really good.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly I haven't seen quite a lot animated movies, and
Yeah.
when I saw this one, I actually like, I like the movie, but there was something which I have to like point out.
Hmm.
okay, so the screenplay being non-linear, the viewer has to pay his full attention to the film.
Hmm.
If he misses a few scenes, to connect again, it takes a lot of time.
Yeah,
And also, at first, you cannot perceive why the hand is following it.
yeah, yeah.
It all connects at the end.
One more thing which I like, it used audio recording to show and to clarify the past events of the present day characters. I think that was very creative and I really like that particular part.
Yeah, so the music, yeah, I absolutely loved it.
Hmm.
The director plunges the audience into like the hand's perspective, and as the hand goes on, the hand fights with like rats, and his journey back to the Naufel, which is the
Nufil,
main
yeah,
character
yeah,
of
yeah,
the film,
yeah,
yeah, and its journey back. This is a little like sad one,
yeah,
or like a morbid territory. Yeah, I mean the director has done quite good to balance the tone of the film. Like
yeah. I think the premise of the film is so different that from the first minute itself, it hooks on to you. You don't generally see that. You generally get involved in a film after or towards the end of the first act. They
it's
have
quite
done.
inconvenient also. Yeah, it's quite inconvenient also to see everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
true.
like you are too busy like wondering, okay, if like okay, the hand has his own desires in it. If you just compare it with your own body,
Yeah.
what will my hand desire? I have to think about it now. Where will it go? Will it come back to me now? I don't think.
Your hand might go somewhere else.
You don't need to specify it here.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Also,
any.
the, the color, like the murky colors. Okay, they made the world appear. Okay, it was quite like a real world.
Hmm, yeah.
And what I think is the opening images.
Hmm,
They have established the whole mood of the film.
yeah. Yeah.
Do you agree with it?
Yeah. Yeah. I do. I absolutely love the film. It's one of the best animated films I have seen. It's not in my top five
And
list.
what do you think about the like the animation, the depth of the 2D details
Yeah.
in background? Okay, and the
Mhm.
characters, okay, even in any animation, the characters are normally paced, but not here. In this movie, the pacing of the characters is not normal.
It feels like
In
stop
which
motion almost. At least the
yeah,
character design, it felt like stop motion. So
yeah.
yeah.
So
Okay, so how much do you rate the film out of
I'll rate
five?
it. Oh yeah, I'll do out of five. I'll rate it 4.5.
4.515. For me,
4.5
out of 10, it is easily a 9. So, okay, so that was I Lost My Body, which is a French film. It's on Netflix. And yeah, check it out. That's all I have to say about the film.
Let us know in comments how do you feel about
Yeah,
it.
let us know how you guys feel about it. And yeah,
That's it about I
so
Lost My Body.
I lost my body. All right, so the next film that we are going to discuss, it's an English language film. Uh, it's called The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. It's a 2018 Western comedy slash drama anthology film, which is written and directed by the Coen brothers. And it's a great film. It's on Netflix, which was quite weird to see a Coen brothers film on Netflix, because they're so cinema purist.
We'll talk about why Netflix also.
Yeah, so The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, what did you think of the film?
Okay, first of all, it's a anthology of six different stories. Yeah, it's a ballad basically,
Yeah.
and the like adaptation of Western American environment, Western American characters into this ballad. Okay, it's a great thing to do first of
Hmm.
all, and the script with a great script. The dialogues were good, and I actually love the movie quite a lot. So we'll start with the plot of the movie first of all.
Yeah, I mean, there are six different plots of the movie. So, yeah.
Yeah, the six
Yeah, so
different
we'll just
stories.
talk about each of them very briefly. All right, so
Yeah,
the first story is called The Ballad of Buster Scruggs, and it's a straight up comedy. It's about a cowboy. His name is Buster Scruggs, and from the first minute itself, it's quite clear what the story and the film overall is going. Because the very first scene is him singing, and when he stops singing, he breaks the fourth wall. So that particular story, at least, it's not taking itself that seriously. It's a very light-hearted story to begin with, and I'm glad that they did this story in the beginning, because I think it set a really nice pace for the film, because the stories, as we progress, they get a little more intense, little more serious. So
no, no,
they
even I
I
don't
think they
think so.
started off really well. We won't tell you the entire story, of course. You watch it for yourself. We'll just give you a brief
Yeah,
introduction of about what it is. And by the way, Buster Scruggs is played by Tim Blake Nelson. Yeah, I don't know if you guys know him. I didn't know him prior to this film. So if you know him, then great. Yeah, so what's the next story?
the next is Near Algodones. It's where a young cowboy tries to rob an isolated
Yeah, and
bank,
that's a funny one.
and
Yeah.
as he, yeah, it's a funny one. It's the theme which is present in the first story is also present in this one. How the cowboy escapes, like he's hanging and all the stuff. We won't get into the details of the story, but
Yeah.
overall theme of it is a comedy.
Hmm.
And at the end, what do you think about the end of this? Okay, we'll discuss about it later.
Yeah. The next story
Uh,
is Meal Ticket. It stars Liam Neeson and that guy from Harry Potter. I don't know his name actually. So it stars both of them.
yeah, even I don't know his name,
What's his
but
name?
the guy from Harry Potter.
I think his name is it's Harry Melling. He played Harry's stepbrother, I think. Right? Yeah. It's about this young man who has no arms or legs, and he works with this theater guy, and their business is basically dramatic storytelling. And yeah, so it's a story about them, and I think it's from this story where it starts getting a little intense. Not a little intense, I would say. I think this particular story is really sad. The theme drastically changes. Yeah, so that was the third story, Meal Ticket.
The fourth one is All Gold Canyon with Mr. Pocket. It's a good
Yeah, it's one of the
story.
best. Yeah.
It's about a prospector who arrives in a valley and decides to dig for gold in a meadow. And Mr. Pocket here is basically the pocket of gold which is in that meadow.
Yeah.
So the theme of it, okay, we'll
Yeah, we'll
discuss
discuss things
about the
later.
story
Yeah.
afterward. Yeah. So that was the fourth one. The Why don't you go with the fifth one?
Yeah, so the fifth one is called The Gal Who Got Rattled. It's about a woman and her brother and their journey across Oregon. And yeah, then
Yeah.
and I don't want to spoil the story. It's sort of like a romantic story, I would say. This story, I felt like it sort of dragged on for too long.
We'll get to it
The
later.
Yeah, so that was the fifth one. The sixth one is The Mortal Remains. Why don't you talk about it?
So the Mortal Remains is about five people, four of them who are in a stagecoach, and the guy who is ferrying them. It has a sad ending to it. Not sad, I'll say, but something which I didn't expect. And
This story is a little unsettling, actually.
Unconventional, I'll say
Unconventional, and
unconventional.
it's a very sort of weird story too, because it's just dialogues. It's a pretty weird one, but it's one of the best one in my opinion, at least. And the acting
I
in
mean,
this
the
is really
strength,
good.
yeah, the strength of the story relies on the dialogues itself.
Yeah, yeah.
So now we'll get into the details, or
Now we'll just talk about the film. Like you guys just heard the premise to all the stories, and you know that the stories are very different. It just shows, how good these filmmakers are. Each story, even though they are of different genres altogether, each story is executed so brilliantly. It
I
is
think,
very different and unique, but it's so brilliantly written. I mean, it is fantastic. It is really really good.
yeah. So there were like a few scenes which I absolutely loved. Like in the first one, the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Hmm.
The Buster Scruggs like is a cheerful singing cowboy who goes on and on until he finds like at the end, yeah, there's someone who is greater than me.
Greater than him, yeah.
Yeah. And also uh also, do you remember like the I love the scene, that when he's in that
The bar, yeah,
old
yeah,
West American bar or
yeah, yeah. Yeah.
whatever you say that, and where
Salon,
you have to
saloon, I
deposit the
think. Yeah,
gun.
yeah,
Yeah, salon, yeah.
salon.
Yeah, you have to deposit the guns at the start, and then when he's challenged over there with the guy who has the gun,
Yeah,
and he doesn't have a gun.
yeah.
Yeah, and how he kills him, he just kicks on the he just kicks on the
On the
table.
table, and you can, yeah. I mean,
I
that
mean,
just shows that
it
that
was
particular
hilarious
story
scene.
is not taking itself that seriously at all. But it still makes sense for
Yeah, I mean,
some reason, and then it's like the first two ones are really funny. They're
a
really really funny.
light-hearted
Yeah,
comedy and
yeah,
all.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. And the second one, near algodones, in that the number of times he, like, not number of times I'll say, but the way he escapes his death,
yeah. Yeah,
and it's hilarious.
yeah.
And also how, first of all, how
How?
he escapes his death.
And in the second story, the scene where the guy from the bank, he runs
Yeah,
at him with pans and pots as armor.
as
that
his
is that is
armor.
that is so funny. Yeah, no,
Also,
but
like,
yeah, but
okay,
again,
so
to go back to my point, like it just shows that how these Coen brothers, they've mastered their craft so well. They have done all the stories with so much ease. It's fantastic.
yeah, in the second one, it starts off as a humor, but at the end, he like, okay, he dies.
Yeah. Don't spoil the film.
Coen brothers have portrayed Western American traditions and all quite good.
Yeah,
The
and
way they have portrayed
yeah,
it's quite good.
and okay, so they made a film, I think in 2010. I think it was called True Grit. Even that film was Western, but it's so different. So it just shows that they can even take the same time period and make a completely different narrative. How will you rank each story?
I'll rank the first one as the this one, All Gold Canyon,
Hmm.
Mr. Pocket, the one with Mr. Pocket,
Yeah, yeah. The third one. Yeah.
and then the Ballad of Buster Scruggs, which is the first one.
Hmm.
Then the second one, near Algodones. Then Meal Ticket,
Hmm.
and then the last one, Mortal Remains. And I'll rank the second last, the gal who got
Hmm.
rattled, as the last one,
Last one.
because it was, I think it was dragged a little bit.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
me,
So that is my order.
it is All Gold Canyon first. I really like that one. Second one for me would be Mortal Remains. Then I would go for Meal Ticket. Um, then Ballad of Buster Scruggs, then the gal who got rattled, and the last one will be near Algodones. That is my ranking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so like, do you remember like in Meal Ticket when Liam Neeson finds that chicken? Yeah, okay, spoiler alert for because why the things which are said in Meal Ticket, it's thought provoking
Yeah,
is
it that
because
that that one is really thought provoking actually.
that particular scene where Liam Neeson finds the chicken who can like uh okay, first of all we have to talk about the art of it.
Yeah, so
So yeah, so okay, so in the Meal Ticket, Liam Neeson and the guy from Harry Potter, the other one, who they convert their wagon into a small stage and they do theaters in different cities,
yeah.
from different town to town.
Hmm.
Okay, so and as the time goes, people seem to like lose their interest in this traditional art form and how like it affects the artist. So there's this Malayali song called Navrasam.
Hmm.
It has similar themes to it. It's on the folk art of Kerala.
Hmm.
You should definitely watch it. It's even I I mean how people lose their interest in it, how people bully it and all.
Hmm.
Uh, I when I saw this particular one, I immediately thought of that song itself.
Oh,
So that is one particular thing which I want to like highlight for our viewers, for
yeah.
those guys who are hearing us.
That particular story, what you just said, um,
Yeah,
it just shows that if one particular art form is not working, people uh,
appreciate it.
people
Not working, you should
generally
say
tend to
like it's not appreciated
yeah
quite a lot.
yeah yeah. So if it's not appreciated a lot, then people generally tend to go towards that particular art which will earn them big bucks, even if the art form
Yeah.
is ridiculous. It
Okay.
also gives us a great segue to talk about the streaming platforms, because we know that
Yeah.
the mainstream cinema these days have taken over theaters. These small films, they are going towards these streaming platform even more. Like, of course, there was Ballad of Buster Scruggs, then Scorsese did Silence back in 2016, and
The
of
Irishman.
course last year, yes, he did The Irishman. We saw in 2018 Alfonso Cuarón went for Roma.
Roma.
Right,
Yeah.
so it just shows
I mean,
that these filmmakers, they somewhere they know that their films will not be viewed in the theater as much as they used to, say, 10 years ago. That's why they are shifting towards these streaming platform, where they know that first of all their film is going to stay for a long time. Second of all, like, people
and people
will
will watch it.
will yeah, because most of the people who watch such films, most of them are working people, right? So they don't generally have time to
Yeah,
go
you're correct.
out and watch the film in theaters. Like, if particular film is playing, say, 10 kilometers from your house, and the theater is charging you, say, 300 rupees to watch that film, you would just wait for a couple of weeks or a month, and then you will download it
To
from
get it on
somewhere.
a
Yeah,
until it's on a streaming platform or
streaming platform,
whatever the
or you
methods.
will download it from somewhere, and they know that. So I think that's what they are shifting towards, the
Streaming
platform. Yeah,
platforms.
exactly. So the chicken is the new mainstream cinema. Liam Neeson is the new producers, and the guy from Harry Potter is basically, it represents all the good filmmakers out there. That's what I think. Might not make sense, but that's what I feel. So I just shared my thoughts, because that's
Okay,
what this
I
podcast is
never
about.
thought
It's
about
about our
it that
thoughts.
way. Yeah, I mean what you're saying now it's quite correct.
Yeah.
because the new ones, the new producers, the new directors, they are quite, uh, what I'd say,
They
they
don't want to
are,
take risks, I would say. They don't want to take
yeah,
risks,
yeah,
and
they don't want to take risk. I mean, the legends you have, which you have seen, right from the 1950s, 40s, the movies which you have seen,
mm,
they took risk.
they took risks, and because they were first of their kind, right? They were first of their kind. Like,
Yeah,
there was no Ingmar Bergman before Ingmar Bergman, right? And at
yeah, you're absolutely
that,
correct.
yeah,
No
and
one, there
that
was no
time,
one.
what they did with film, what they did with cinema was something revolutionary.
Yeah, you're quite
Similarly,
correct.
if you look at it, like all your Marvel films, right? They use a lot of CGI and stuff.
CGI.
They use a lot of
Yeah.
CGI. So that is essentially what they're
Okay,
doing.
we have said Marvel. People will absolutely hate us now.
See, there is nothing wrong with Marvel films. I love Marvel films. I'm not saying I don't like them. I really like them, but that's just, for me, that's not cinema. It doesn't, I would say, it doesn't spark an emotional feeling in me like such films do. Yeah, so
Yeah, I
this is
have to
basically the
agree with
point,
it.
is that these films, these quote unquote mainstream cinema, they're taking over the theaters and they're taking over the screens. These independent filmmakers or
The
filmmakers who make cinema,
upcoming
like even the upcoming filmmakers, they have a really hard time to release their films in theaters. So that's why all of them are shifting towards streaming platform. Like even I think Damien Chazelle is coming up with a limited series on Netflix.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it just shows that that's what it is going to be. But it's fine. I
I mean,
don't really mind it.
in
It's not
in
the
other
same.
way,
It's not the same experience though.
yeah.
I will
But
say that, like,
if you look at the other way, the streaming platforms have supported them now,
yeah, they have. They have.
because like they know what the audience will watch.
Yeah,
So for that, yeah, it's quite good.
yeah.
Okay, so we'll return to the movie now.
So yeah, it's a great film. Yeah, we forgot to talk about the cinematography and the music
I mean, the cinematography
is really
of
good.
it was
Like the
something which I have not
Yeah,
seen.
it is beautifully shot. Like the composition and framing is just perfect. And fun fact, it's the first of Coen brothers film which has been shot on digital.
Yeah,
They haven't
so
used
that's
film in this.
something.
They
Okay,
have
so
used red in this. I'm
used
not sure.
to use Coen Brothers used to use the film, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, like all their films up to this point were all shot on film.
movie
The
depicting the
music is also
Western
really good.
American
Yeah, the music. I'm sorry for interrupting
music.
you.
Okay, the music was quite good.
The music was really good in my opinion. I think it was really, really good.
Uh,
They've used it quite sparingly though.
I want to talk about the one All Gold Canyon also.
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
So at the start, spoiler alert, at the start of it, when he's like humming something or he's singing a song, all the animals which are in the meadow, they run, they go in the hiding places,
Yeah.
and until the time he goes, like he leaves the place,
Mhm.
they never come back. This says quite a lot about the current conditions of our environment,
Yeah,
about how we are like enriching all the forest and all.
yeah,
So that's something which every one of us has to think on. Not only think on, I'll say, we have to work on it.
yeah.
Overall, it's a
It's a great
good
film. It's a
movie,
great,
and
great
I've
film.
heard people complain about it, but I don't think
The
those guys have
most of the
seen
complaints
it
that
the
I've
way
heard,
it.
that I've read rather on Twitter, It was about the tonal inconsistency. Like all six stories were not tonally consistent. I did think it that way, but people are well, they're bound to their opinions. So yeah, I
Title,
just thought that the
it's a
pacing.
ballad.
I just had some issue with the pacing. The first four stories were quite fast paced, but then the fifth one it just sort of dragged on for too long. I'd be wrong if I watched it the second time.
No, the fifth one was a little bit dragged. Even I think that
Yeah, I just thought the fifth one was little too long, and the sixth one was not as long as I would
it
like it.
should be.
Yeah, because the sixth one, the last one is really good. I
Yeah.
It just felt like it ended really soon. But apart from that, I think the fifth one is not bad. Just don't get me. The fifth story is not a bad story. It's
No,
just I just thought
it's
it
good,
dragged
but
on for too long. That's it.
so
Yeah, apart from that, it's a great film. It's on Netflix. It's a great entertainer as well. So it's not just all crying. It's not a depressing film at all.
yeah.
It's a really good film. And yeah, how much would you rate it um out of five?
No, for this movie I'll go for 10.
Oh, why?
I'll rate it. No, I'll rate it 8. I'll rate it 8 out of 10.
8 on 10. I'll give it a solid
Yeah, 8 on
8.5 on 10,
10. That's good.
which is closer to a 9 than an 8. So, yeah.
Yeah, but still, I had a few issues with like the length of
Hmm.
the fifth one or whatever. Okay, that's so that were my like personal opinions of it. So which is why I gave it like a 8 on 10.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
so
that's it, guys.
that's Ballad of Buster Scruggs, and
So
please watch it.
what's the movie? Kumbalangi Nights, I Lost My Body, The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Uh,
So Kumbalangi is available on Amazon Prime. The other two are on Netflix.
yes.
Watch them. Let us know how you feel about it in comments.
Please share this podcast with your friends if they are interested in films, and
Yeah,
and if they
and
like listening to two students of engineering basically who just like cinema, like movies, and like talking about it. If you feel that
yeah, and even say
it's worth
who, who
listening to,
hope one day to make
please share it. And yeah, thank you
one. Yeah,
guys for listening.
let us know how you feel about it.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you guys for being patient and listening so long.
yeah. And okay, so I'll just say
And
this thing. This is the first time that we are doing this. So I know that quality is probably not that great. It's not as professional because we aren't professional either. We are just two students who just like talking about films, and we just wanted to share it. We have a lot of times in our hands at the moment, so we
and
just thought, why not?
also the coronavirus outbreak has like we are recording this podcast remotely, so there
Oh yeah,
so
we
for
yeah. So
please we apologize.
Suyash is actually in Mumbai right now, and I'm here in Pune. So we are recording this via the internet and stuff. So it won't be as smooth because then during the editing
Uh,
process there'll be a lot of cuts and stuff. But but yeah, if you guys feel it's worth listening to, then please share it with your friends or whoever
and
is
also
interested in
for
cinema.
good movie recommendations, follow us on Instagram,
Yeah, but
follow us on
our
Letterbox.
accounts are private, so
Yeah,
so I
follow us
don't.
on Letterbox.
Yeah, follow us on
Follow us
Letter
on
for people who don't know about Letterbox. It's a great app for uh, for people who like films. They can you can follow people on that. You can read their reviews. You can
Yeah,
make different lists. You can make your own watch list. You can share it with people. So it's this episode is not sponsored by Letterbox, by the way, because I don't think
we are
anyone will
promoting it
sponsor
ourselves.
us. So yeah, okay, so
We'll
we
be
are just
happy
doing
to
this for
have them on
ourselves.
board.
That's it. We don't even want any sponsors. We're just doing it for ourselves.
Yeah.
We just like to share our thoughts. So
And to keep you guys entertained,
engaged.
to
Yeah.
share the knowledge of.
Yeah, and just watch good films, man.
So
That's
thank
it.
you.
Thank you guys for listening. This was a really long conclusion to a podcast. I know that. Again, we aren't professional speakers. So, yeah, please bear with us. And thank you guys for listening. If you have heard till this moment, thank you so much. The extra thank you to you. And
Yeah.
we will see you guys in the next one. Thank you. Bye.